You're watching a Highwire Media podcast.
The new Cowboys offensive coordinator Klayton Adams is already winning fans over with one simple quote. And now Klayton Adams is looking like a great hire by Dallas. With the new league year just 3 weeks away, free agency is all the rage around the NFL. Having recently hired a new head coach and essentially a completely new coaching staff, the Dallas Cowboys need to figure out the player profile that best suits this staff. While Brian Schottenheimer hired an exciting group of coaches, new offensive coordinator Klayton Adams has created the most buzz. Adams comes over from the Arizona Cardinals, where he served as an offensive line coach the last 2 seasons. Cardinals OL consistently played above its talented level under Adams, and Adams was the architect behind Arizona's number 7 ranked rushing attack last season. Cardinals fans were devastated to learn of Adams' departure. That tells you the caliber of coach Dallas has on its hands. Adams met with Dallas media on Tuesday for the first time since he was hired, and his vision for the offense will have Cowboy fans wanting to fast forward through the offseason. So what does Adams want to see from his players? Quote, the same thing that I want from every player in offense, and that is to create violence in the game. Be aggressive, run, hit. I think that every decision that we make schematically needs to lean that direction. It's easy to hear that quote and call it fool's gold. With big shoes to fill as the new offensive coordinator, Adams is just giving the media money quotes to appease fans, right? That might be the case with some coaches. However, there is film of Adams' scheme working with Arizona, which has lesser blue-chip talent relative to the Cowboys. When you think about the Cardinals' offense, do any stars spring to mind? James Conner, is a good running back, but he probably doesn't crack the top 10. The offensive line is composed of adequate starters, but not world beaters. Adams' scheme took it over the top. He recognized what his players do well and incorporated that into his play designing on top of demanding violence. That is another message he preached to reporters. Quote, our job when we're putting things on the call sheet is to be problem solvers. We're trying to figure out what we do good and how we make that look multiple. How do we make that look different? That's the part I'm really looking forward to focusing on. A problem-solving coach who wants to bully opponents with an innovative run scheme? The Cowboys may have struck gold with Adams. It's well documented that Dallas's running game lacked innovation with Mike McCarthy calling plays the last 2 seasons. Under Adams, Cowboy fans can expect a heavy dose of counters, gap scheme concepts, and pull blockers. While it is currently unclear whom Dak Prescott will be handing the ball to, Adams' scheme and obsession to be the more physical unit will have whomever the front office brings in primed for success. It's still early, but Adams looks like a slam dunk hire. And now on to our next topic. Matt Eberflus leaves no doubt about Micah Parsons' role in the new Cowboys defense. The Dallas Cowboys will have a new defensive coordinator for the 3rd time in as many seasons after they hired Matt Eberflus to replace Mike Zimmer, who was contemplating retiring from coaching in the NFL. There was a lot of revisionist history going around after Dan Quinn led the Commanders to the NFC Championship game. A number of media members ridiculed the Cowboys for not moving on from Mike McCarthy last year and promoting Quinn to head coach when Quinn had just overseen maybe the worst defensive performance in a playoff game in franchise history. But we digress. While Quinn and Zimmer's schemes were polar opposites, their one common denominator was getting the most out of Micah Parsons. Eberflus has some big shoes to fill in that regard, but he plans to keep it simple as far as his vision for Parsons in the defense. He does not want to reinvent the wheel with Parsons, who's firmly established as one of the best defensive players in football, saying, Micah is a premier pass rusher. We're going to use him that way. Certainly, and he's one heck of an athlete that can do a lot of different things for us on defense. And when you have a guy like that you want to be able to utilize his skill set, as we're around him more, we'll see what that skill set is and really take advantage of that. He knows that we'll just make him in the best light that he can be in terms of position, in terms of pass rush, and really utilizing what he does best, and that's rushing the passer. While he recognizes Parsons can wear many hats in a defense, he made it clear that he wants Parsons to predominantly rush the passer. There is little doubt that Parsons can be effective as an off-ball linebacker. He proved as much in his rookie season, but there is no need to force that conversation for a 3rd year in a row just because Dallas has another shot caller on the defensive side of the ball. Whether it's bull rushing an opposite lineman into a quarterback's lap, winning around the edge thanks to his elite speed and bend, or consuming double teams so his friends along the defensive line can get home, Parsons can wreck a game in myriad ways, and it all comes back to his ability to rush the quarterback. Over the last 3 seasons, Parsons has finished first, and fifth in total pressures among edge defenders per PFF. It is ridiculous that Parsons cracked the top 5 in 2024 despite missing 4 games with a high ankle sprain. It's fair to assume he would have finished first for the 3rd straight year, if not for that injury. There's no need for Eberflus to overcomplicate this. Only one player in the world is better than Parsons at getting after the quarterback, and that is Myles Garrett. Parsons is scheme-proof at this point in his career, but it's reassuring to hear that Eberflus' vision for the Lion aligns with its greatest skill set. And now on to our next topic. The perfect Trayvon Diggs insurance has landed in the Cowboys' lap thanks to a surprise release. The Cowboys have a chance to improve their depth at cornerback, and it shouldn't cost Jerry Jones much to do so. It's no secret that the Cowboys had a plethora of injury problems during the 2024 season, and the cornerback position may have taken the hardest overall hit. At one point or another throughout the 24 campaign, the top 6 corners in the Cowboys rotation, Trayvon Diggs, Daron Bland, Jordan Lewis, Kalen Carlson, Josh Butler, all missed times with various ailments. The 2 most important names on that list played in only 18 combined games, with Diggs appearing in 11 and Bland suiting up for only 7. That's a problem, especially since they have 2 of the biggest cap hits on the Dallas roster heading into the 2025 season. Lewis thankfully was healthy enough to play 16 games and played well enough to earn a 71.7 overall defensive PFF grade, which ranked 29th among all cornerbacks. But he may have played himself out of town, as the 29-year-old is set to become an unrestricted free agent and should have plenty of decent offers to mull over. Carlson showed some flashes during his rookie season, but it's still too early to tell what the future holds for the 5th-round pick. Like Lewis, I'm going to butcher his name, Origi is set to hit the open market, and there's no guarantee Butler will be healthy once the 2025 season begins, as he tore his ACL in Week 13, at which point the Cowboys were forced to throw some snaps to Andrew Booth Jr., who is part of the Minnesota Vikings' infamous 2022 draft class. So it goes without saying that the Cowboys' cornerback room has some problems. That said, however, America's team could add some depth here by adding a former rival who was just recently released. Late last week, the Miami Dolphins announced the release of several players, one of whom was veteran cornerback Kendall Fuller, who spent just 1 season in South Beach and amassed 50 total tackles and 7 passes defended in 11 games. The Cowboys know Fuller well, as he spent 6 of his first 8 years in the NFL with the Washington Commanders, with whom he recorded 355 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 61 passes defended, and 14 interceptions, 2 of which he returned for touchdowns. His second career pick 6, by the way, came against none other than Dak Prescott in Week 18 of the 2022 season. Now, it should be noted that the 30-year-old suffered a pair of concussions this past season, which obviously hinders the argument that he'd be a good insurance policy to have around if Diggs and Bland have injury issues again. That said, however, prior to this past season, Fuller had only missed 5 games in the previous 4 seasons combined. So for the most part, he's been a reliable option, and one that Jones, Schottenheimer, and Eberflus need to take a long look at when figuring out what to do with this cornerback room. And now on to our next topic. Kellen Moore is hiring another former Cowboys coach. It's pure comedy gold for Dallas fans. The Dallas Cowboys had a chance to make Kellen Moore their head coach, but they shocked everyone and went with Brian Schottenheimer. Moore and Schottenheimer both would have been safe hires in that they represent familiarity and comfortability for team owner Jerry Jones. They seemingly wouldn't ruffle any feathers and ensure that Jones maintains final say in all personnel decisions as de facto general manager. Being that Moore was a finalist for the Cowboys job, fans have no choice but to track how he fares with the New Orleans Saints. The Saints announced Moore as head coach last week, a few days after the Eagles hoisted the Lombardi Trophy after winning Super Bowl 59. New Orleans was the last team to fill their head coach vacancy, so Moore is now scrambling to fill out his coaching staff. As a result, Moore is relying heavily on his Cowboy roots. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reported that Saints are hiring Scott Tolzien as their quarterback coach. Former quarterback in the NFL for 4 seasons, he worked with Moore on the Cowboys for 3 years. He served as a coaching assistant from 2020 to 2022, while Moore was Dallas's offensive coordinator. Tolzien was promoted to Cowboys quarterback coach in 2023 and held that title through the 2024 season before his contract expired. Moore served as the Chargers and Eagles offensive coordinator respectively during that span. Tolzien oversaw arguably the best season of Dak Prescott's career in 2023 when he finished second in MVP voting after he threw for 4,500 yards and a league-high 36 touchdowns compared to just 9 interceptions. While Prescott took a step back this past season, that is more attributed to a combination of Dallas's abysmal 2024 offseason, Mike McCarthy's play calling, and a poor running game that anything Tolzien did in that quarterback room. Tolzien is now the second former Cowboys assistant to join Moore's staff in the Big Easy. Former assistant tight ends coach and passing game coordinator Chase Hazlitt will be Moore's tight ends coach. Like Tolzien and Moore, Hazlitt and Moore coached in Dallas together from 2020 to 2022. It was always expected that Moore would reunite with former Cowboy coaches whenever he got a head coaching gig. Several positions on his Saints staff still need to be filled, so don't be surprised if Moore dips back into the Dallas coaching tree pool. Much like Dan Quinn signing every Cowboys free agent under the sun last offseason, Moore doesn't seem to have any original ideas as far as filling out his first ever coaching staff. So let me know your comments and suggestions on the topics we covered in the comments section below. Is there anything we missed? Anything we should have covered? Let me know. Of course, if you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/thebigd. As always, your support helps the channel grow, upgrade our equipment, bring in new hosts, be able to pay them, and eventually take this show on the road. And of course, give us a thumbs up if you like our video. Hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the bell notification button to be notified of future videos. And of course, check out all the other videos where we've covered the latest happenings in Cowboy news. And of course, you can find us on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Good Pods, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast from. And with that, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.